Hello again, it's Garson, and this is going to be a quick guide for the Way of Four Elements Monk. So, without further ado, this is an unarmed attack at 20-foot range. Woohoo! Alright, we'll get right into it. A little quick demonstration. We'll wait patiently for our opponents. Alright, so there's one attacker and two attackers. So I'm outnumbered, right? So let's see if our Elemental Monk, what's he got up his sleeve? Alright, so we can use spells using our key points, and we can actually use control spells like Hold Person, Clench of the North Wind, and now it's guaranteed I get to hit and crit. And when I cast spells, I actually still get my free unarmed bonus attack, but I can also burst down with Flurry of Blows for a deadly combo, right? And that'll skip his turn, controlling the battlefield. So he got out of there, right? I can use a powerful combo with Fangs of the Fire Snake, lead in. This does a lot of damage on its own, but then it adds 1d4 to both unarmed and armed attacks in the melee range. So I do a lot of damage and finish them off with a Flurry of Blows. And you can see that we have a lot of tricks up our sleeves to do a lot of damage. So let's get right into it. It is a quick guide. A big thank you to you guys. And just for reference, yesterday's video, I showed a Tavern Brawler, Strength Elixir, 4 Elements Monk, but this has none of that. So a big thank you to you guys for being interested in this. But let's get to it. It's a quick guide. So in the pinned comments, I actually have timestamps for a lot of this to help you out, skip around. And just so you know, this is a simple build, no multiclassing, but I think it does the point of the subclass really well. If you've never played this subclass, this is going to be a recommendation to dive in and have fun, because what it is basically a unarmed and armed attacker, weapons and unarmed attacks, with an elemental flavor of even spell casting. So mechanically, this gives our key points a new usage to cast spells, which are very interesting. So just to keep it brief, these aren't really spells. They can't be counterspelled or silenced, but also a lot of effects and equipment and multiclassing features don't play nicely with these. So this does not play into it, but there are rare exceptions like the Marco Heshkir we'll talk about in the more technical section, all right? So let's get to it though. We do actually restore half our key points once per long rest with this ability, but key points in general are restored on short rest, so you really want to blow them on these spells. These spells do actually get stronger or have more targets at level 9. This takes 2 targets instead of 1, and things like Sweeping Cinder does a little bit more damage. So these actually upgrade the more you invest into the monk. And of course, some weapon or unarmed attacks, some spells rather, like Fangs, are actually weapon unarmed attacks. Others are just flat out analogs, like Clench of the North Wind is literally Hold Person. This is literally Scorching Ray. So it's very interesting in that way, but we'll dive right into the stats. The most important, I feel, is Dex. You can go Strength, but for this video, I'm going to recommend Dex. We get so much out of it. And to keep it brief, our weapon and our unarmed attacks, even a staff, a bludgeoning staff, right, gets to use dexterity. So our weapon and unarmed attacks get bonuses to accuracy and damage. We have an initiative bonus, an armor class bonus, and spell dodging like Lightning Bolt with the dexterity saving throw. Wisdom is equally important because we actually get armor class bonus when we're not armored. We get certain spells that actually require wisdom as a bonus. Not require, but they get a significant bonus to accuracy. And the saving throw is actually a really good benefit against other control spells like Hold Person against us. Could be really dangerous. Of course, Constitution does give us HP and a little bit of concentration bonus. So if you're going to concentrate on Clench, I would recommend that a little bit more. But otherwise, I think you should have, even as a Dex monk, we want a little bit of strength for jumping and carrying weight and not being pushed around. Otherwise, let's max out Dex and Wisdom. And if you know what you're doing, you know how to get the Hag's Hair, you can start with 17 Wisdom and have 18 Wisdom really early on, because the feats I recommend are enhancing your Dex at level 4, getting Great Weapon Master to really increase our attack with a weapon at level 8, and level 12, buff out your wisdom, because this is going to be really useful in the late game casting these powerful spells like control. All right, so what about equipment? Again, this is all just a recommendation. I recommend the Diadem because I think Fire Snake is the best move on this subclass, and this is a condition you'll get when you use the move, and so therefore you'll activate the helmet and you'll have more weapon damage from wisdom. So I think that's a great choice. There's also the cloak, just as a demonstration, spell save DC gear. This actually gets a bonus to our spells. And then the chest, the graceful cloth, does let us get to 20 dexterity at 18 dexterity. So you can get 20 dexterity really early on the game, and it's unarmored, so we get all of our bonuses there on Monk. The Helldust gloves, both versions, are going to enhance both the weapon attacks and the unarmed attacks. So you can see we have fire damage and we have necrotic damage. We have the Kashigo boots. These are going to help our unarmed attacks, which means this is going to add wisdom to the bludgeoning damage of Fangs of the Fire Snake. We have the elemental augmentation. We'll get the firebolt cantrip down here. I have this from my staff, so I can actually get this enhancing my cantrip, even though this doesn't play nicely with my other spells. So free action is great on melee characters, avoiding terrain and being paralyzed. And then there's the Risky Ring, which Monk is so good that it can actually mitigate a lot of the disadvantage that comes with this ring. And so we can have advantage on every single one of our attacks, making it really easy to land Great Weapon Master and the like. Melee, I really recommend, every time I talk about Elemental Monk, the Wormling Staff. You buy it from Roa in the Goblin Camp, and it gives you the Firebolt cantrip, and it just makes it feel like playing a Fire Monk a lot more fun. Staves do get to use Dexterity using a Monk class. And then there is the Hellfire Crossbow. You don't have proficiency in hand crossbows, but we get a free cast of Scorching Ray every short rest with this, so that's pretty nice as well. So Heroism, I would use attack roll Heroism Elixir just to make sure you're really getting more accuracy with so many attacks. Our spell attacks, our unarmed attacks, and our weapon attacks, and even this cantrip, right? They all benefit from the Heroism. But if there's certain spells you want to use, like Clench, you should actually use Battle Mage Elixir if you can find them. So how do you actually play this? I'm going to recommend a monk that doesn't use armor or shields, and I would recommend in the early game finding the Bracers of Defense in the basement of the Blighted Village. And Ethel actually sells a really good staff that monks love. So there's also, in the early game, what you're going to do is use your action to use a weapon attack, and that will enable you to use your bonus action as a free unarmed attack, so like a mini flurry of blows. And none of this uses key points, so remember this combo because it's your cheapest combo throughout the game. So what I'll do is actually show you a clip here. We'll pull this up. All right, so this is your cheap 0 key combo you'll use all game. You'll use a weapon attack, and then you'll use your bonus action attack right here. This is an unarmed attack. You get this at level 1 monk, so you can use it all game. So right at level 1, you're already attacking twice, and at level 5, you'll have 2 attacks. So that's 3 attacks in total, and this is why we want weapon and unarmed combat. So if we move on though, key is actually cheap. You will be using key a lot. I highly recommend just blow it. Just your bread and butter usage is offensively, you can use your bonus action and a key point to use Flurry of Blows. And defensively, you have 2 options with Step of the Wind. There's even Patient Defense, but I really want to highlight Step the Wind. Anytime you use these 2 moves, you can actually jump for free almost, effectively. The more movement you have, the more you can jump a lot. And jumping will no longer require a bonus action because you've already used it up. So something really interesting there, but it's only 1 key point and a bonus action for both of these. So get used to using these, and key comes back very cheaply at short rest. You get all of your key back. The more you level up the monk, the more key you have per short rest. So prioritize safety and smart plays in the early game. I know you're a melee character, but even a downed monk can jump out, use their bonus action. When you're downed and an ally saves you, you don't have an action, but you do have a bonus action and can actually blow a key point to Flurry of Blows or get out of there safely with Step of the Wind. So subclass at level 3, obviously, I would highly recommend you can use your key more now. So I would recommend the Fire Snake spell. This is, in my opinion, the best spell of 4 elements, and why we want to really focus in on fire damage for the most part. This is great at the mid-range. You can either lead into your combo with this at range or just stay safe, and you can blow 1 key point and do a lot of damage with unarmed strikes. So this still actually activates extra attack, so in reality, you can use 2 of these, 1 on your action and 1 on your extra attack. For 2 key points, you can use 2 of these, right? So that's actually really cool. And it's going to buff all of your attacks. So your weapon attack will get an additional 1d4. And your Flurry of Blows, each punch will have an additional 1d4. This is a great burst combo I'll give to you. So let me pull up another clip. So this is the high key burst combo you'll use. This is your bread and butter when you want to burst damage, or Nova, whatever you want to call it. But you'll basically use Snake first. This is going to allow you to, obviously do a lot of damage. It has the 1d10, but then it's going to add 1d4 twice to Flurry of Blows and one time to your weapon attack. So you'll lead in with Snake, and you'll use your weapon attack with Great Weapon Master, and then you'll use Flurry of Blows with your bonus action and another key point. And you can see that you do a lot of damage. This is your best bursty combo, in my opinion, for the rest of the game. So we'll talk about stun in a moment, but stun is also really good. So I'll just recommend try to use Stunning Strike down here. You can use it as a weapon or an unarmed attack. You can freeze people, but we'll talk more about it. It requires a Constitution saving throw. And I would recommend last time I'll talk about it, but the Wormling Staff, monks can use this as a dexterity weapon. It already has a 1d4 fire on it. It's a weapon enchantment +1, and it gives you the free cantrip Firebolt that uses wisdom. For the rest of the game, you'll have a cantrip that doesn't use key points, so I think that's really awesome. But you will have more key points as you level up, like I said. So in Act 2, just exhaust these. Just get used to using your combos. Snake for the mid-range or leading into a combo, like I said, is really good. Flurry is amazing for burst. And Stunning Strike, let's talk about that now with a clip. So Stunning Strike is a way to control the battlefield even as early as Act 1, but you'll be getting used to this in Act 2 and 3. This is a great move because you do damage, but you also stop somebody from attacking you and your team for a whole turn if you land the stun. So it's always valuable because you always get the damage in, right, if you land it. And then you could possibly stun somebody if their Constitution modifier isn't too high. So you'll see me actually not get the stun, but I did damage. So it's really not that bad to go for. But I do get the stun even on the high Constitution targets. It's based on my strength or dexterity, whatever's higher, and basically whatever I'm using to attack. So I'll land this. There we go. You got stunned. And what I'll actually do is slow down for a second and show you what I'm talking about with these modifiers, these saving throws, all this confusing nonsense. You can see here at the beginning of combat, this guy succeeded a roll against my 17 with 24. So high Constitution can make that happen. But I can still land it if he rolls lower than that bonus, okay? So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to Stunning Strike. Step of the Wind, like I said, is very valuable. I'll give you a more detailed look at this and how to use it with another clip. So there's two forms here. Let's look at Disengage. It's pretty obvious. I'll blow a key point on a bonus action, and this will give me the ability to avoid opportunity attacks, getting me to safety. And I can follow up with my action, like using a spell on the Elemental Monk, right? So I can blast somebody at range now safely. Da-da-da-da-da. But if we skip ahead, I'm going to use the dash jump combo. Both Step of the Winds allow me to jump. I no longer need a bonus action to jump, and I can jump for a very little amount of movement. And if you use dash plus jumping for one key point, you can jump a lot and very far. So you can see here, once again, I can get to safety using these Step of Winds. So I highly recommend you don't sleep on these. In Act 2, we have more key points, so let's actually look at some of the spells you can use and how to use them. Starting with Water Whip, it has two functions. You can knock somebody prone, which is really good because even without the risky ring, anybody in the melee range, not just you, but anybody against a prone target can get melee advantage. So I have advantage against this guy. And in honor mode, legendary bosses cannot use their legendary actions during honor mode if they're prone, right? So I'll skip ahead and actually use the Water Whip pull function. If I get to safety over here, I can push or pull somebody just like Thorn Whip a massive distance. So you can be really creative with this, like Cloud of Daggers or throwing them off a cliff. There is the Cinder Sweep. Cinder Sweep is basically like a shotgun of fire. This is an analog to a normal spell, and it does get stronger at level 9 for a little bit more damage. But say there was a bunch of targets like 3, 4, 5, it's actually very efficient to throw this out there and then follow up with a bonus action or a Flurry of Blows. Pretty cool. And then we'll finally look at Embrace the Inferno. This is literally Scorching Ray spell. So like I said, you can disengage, run away with your bonus action, and then you can blast somebody with your actual action and do a lot of damage. Marco Heshkir actually enhances that spell, so that's something to note. I'll get in the technical side of things. And lastly, I think we should look at Clench in more detail. So just like Stunning Strike, I want to kind of highlight Clench of the North Wind here. This is the hold person spell. It gets better at level 9. You can target 2 targets. And so you can hold somebody down and get instant hits and crits, or rather guaranteed hits and crits. Just keep in mind, it's going to use the enemy's wisdom saving throw. Just to keep it simple, the more you raise your wisdom, and when you're up against targets that have bad wisdom, you'll more than likely be able to land this, and you can do devastating damage with guaranteed crits in the melee range. So, and it also skips their turn, so you're going to be using this a lot more in Act 2 and Act 3. Ba-boom. And once again, I'm going to zoom in so you can actually see what I'm talking about with the saving throw values, how it compares. I have decent wisdom, they have poor wisdom, and so the saving throw is going to be a very high chance. I have a 19 DC, their roll was a 9, and there you go. That's how you get it. So I hopefully that kind of like explained a lot of these spells and their usages. You can also find the Drake Throat and buff whatever weapon you're using. That's how I've added a lot of fire damage to my weapon attack. And you can also use the Helldust Gloves to once again add a lot of this fire damage attack. In Act 3, it's going to be more of that bread and butter. You can actually, some of the spells upgrade, like I said. You'll have the Kashigo Boots, which really helps out your unarmed attacks with High Wisdom. And High Wisdom also helps land our spells more often. And Stunning Strike is really valuable, like 1 key point usage later on in the game. So Snake, once again, Snake into a weapon attack, being buffed by Snake, into a flurry of blows with your bonus action. This is still your best combo, even in the late game. And so let's talk about multiclassing briefly. Like a lot of multiclassing at level 3, just by being a monk, you'll have a strong base, and the subclass will give you these spells like Fire Snake, and you can actually cast these spells while enraged as a barbarian multiclass. And you'll have a feat at level 4 if you go that far. Level 5 and 6 will have extra attack, plenty of key points to use on short rest. We can actually ignore resistance on unarmed attacks at level 6, and we'll have access to Clench and Inferno spells, these two down here. Level 7, we have the evasion skill, which is really good with our dexterity saving throws, dodging lightning bolts. And we have another feat at level 8. But level 9 is a pretty killer app because our spells are now strong, or a little bit stronger. Clench can target 2 things. Sweeping Cinder Strike gets stronger. Tons of extra Kai to just throw out these spells. Our 1d8 punches are possible now. We have our strongest punches. And we even get a lot of movement bonuses at this point. I have no Long Strider and a 50 movement when I'm not armored. Is level 11 worth it? I don't know. Fireball's a little late to get this. It's called Flames of the Phoenix, by the way. And Fly is a really good spell regardless, so I guess you could take that at level 11, but maybe just keep going to 12 at that point. So tech, info, honestly, you are not a caster in my opinion. You are, but you're not. Fire Snake really is the most efficient spell, but it's really just a weapon, or unarmed attack rather. And Snake doesn't use wisdom, it uses dexterity or strength. Whatever is higher, it's just a weapon attack at 20, or I gotta keep saying this, it's an unarmed attack at 20 feet range, and it buffs out all your other weapon and unarmed attacks. So you really are playing best as a weapon and unarmed attacker, whichever you choose, or fusion. There's a few equipment and multiclass that do buff the spells, but not a lot of them. I will say that Marco Heshkir is the exception to the rule, where this, if you chose the fire buff, you would have, for instance, a bonus to all the shots of Embrace the Inferno, for instance. So spells I would vouch for, you've kind of seen them, but Fire Snake is the best offensive, cheapest spell you can use. Thunder Wave is really good for pushing. Gale Spirits is good for pushing, but also clears gas. Shape Ice has its niche uses with giving height, if you need a little extra height on your attacks. There's also the Water Whip we've seen, but I think Prone is the best use of this. Clench is literally the hold person spell. And lastly, if you go to level 11, Fly is a great spell to have. Fly and movement is amazing. So I don't want to talk about this a lot, and unfortunately you cannot see your spell modifiers. If you're going to use spells like Cinder Strike or Clench, these use what's called a spell save DC. and it uses your wisdom modifier and your proficiency with a base of 8 to get a really high roll that is really hard for enemies to hit. So these are some of the spells we're looking at. Otherwise, your other spells are attack rolls. So Embrace the Inferno, for instance, is an attack roll. It still uses wisdom, but it's more like a ranged attack. It's going to use proficiency plus wisdom modifier as a bonus to the attack roll, and it's going to go up against armor class. Okay, that's all I really want to talk about. Things like Inferno right here are the type of spells we're talking about. Otherwise, Fangs of the Fire Snake, lastly, one more time, is probably the best spell because it's actually just an unarmed attack that adds 1d10. It's 20-foot range. It's a single key point. You could do it twice with extra attack, and it empowers all your other melee attacks like your main hand or your flurry of blows. So that's pretty much going to do it. Hopefully this kind of explained how to play and level these up, but I will give some recommended videos and a stream playlist for you. Otherwise, I want to see you in the stream if I don't mind asking. It's basically, I want to see you comment and ask questions. I love answering this stuff in the comment section or during my streams because you guys are my sponsors to my channel. I really, really, really appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoy these videos. I hope they inspire you to play Honor Mode the way you want to, or try a new subclass you've never tried before. Maybe this changes your opinion on it. But overall, thank you so much. And the people who support the channel further with the $1 a month really goes the extra mile. Thank you guys. Maybe check out the video on the right and left here, but otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, have a blessed day.